Hey, Mcjoe Arroyo back here with the CRP, and it's Sunday, March 17th. We got the Zone Boxing in Madison Square Garden and Michael Conlon this afternoon. But I want to do a quick recap of last night. 47,000 people at the AT&T Stadium in Dallas, Texas. Saw Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence Jr. get it on. The IBF welterweight title on the line. I give them a lot of credit. They built up the fight terrific, especially in the last 10 days before the fight. You know, Spence Jr., a very, very quiet, mild-mannered fighter, and but you can tell he was taking the challenge very seriously. Mikey Garcia did all the right things in the build-up, did all the right talking. The line actually closed a lot closer than when it opened because Garcia was doing the right things. But once they got into the ring, I think he realized Errol Spence Jr. was the wrong guy to have called out. You know, the bottom line to me here is that Spence's boxing ability may have been underrated at some point, and I know that he was already beginning to crack the top 10, and you know, with his Olympic pedigree and you know the rumors of the sparring sessions with Mayweather and stuff like that, he's already very highly regarded. But I'm talking about adding to the Kell Brook victory, but by doing it in the ring. And Garcia, as he was an unorthodox challenge, it was a challenge to be faced, you know, and he's faced it very seriously. At the end, none of the judges gave Garcia a round. I judged the fight, and I gave Garcia the second round, and that was basically because it seems Spence didn't, didn't get started yet. He won the first round, then maybe let Garcia see, felt him out a little bit, and it was a really still part of the feeling out process, and I could see it going the other way as well. So, I don't know what Mikey does now, because after the way he put on the 100, the weight to 147, can he get back down to 135 now? Now it becomes an issue of, like, what are you doing to your body? Even if you're doing it right and things like that, is it something that at the end of the day, becomes a taxing thing? So, I don't know. Spence Jr., look, Manny Pacquiao was in the building. Manny Pacquiao was formerly headliner at Dallas Cowboy Stadium, and he would probably like that payday. He probably would like to do it again. I don't know if it didn't suit Manny for Garcia to win. Garcia and Manny Pacquiao would have been a big fight in terms of, a 40-0 fighter facing Pacquiao, after overcoming Errol Spence. It really would have been very interesting, but that's not what we're going to get. We'll see if Pacquiao actually signs up to fight Spence. Going to go through the rest of the quick results here. We had the pair of heavyweights, Charles Martin and Chris Arreola. There was, people were looking to pick the underdogs here. We had undefeated fighters in the opposition. We'd love to get some undefeated new American fighters on the scene and stuff like that. But I had a feeling before this one was, when this one was announced, that it wasn't going to go that way. Charles Martin trying to bounce back. Martin, maybe the most susceptible, but he got the most money coming in on him. So he faced a tough fight, and then Corbin kept fouling him, and at the end got disqualified. I think Martin was going to win that fight anyway, but a bruising fight. I mean, taking low blows. Gregory Corbin sitting there channeling Andrew Galata, so not a cool thing there. And Arreola, as I predicted, if Arreola's on, focused, he can be a mean fighter. And, at one point he's a contender. If he outclasses you, it'll show. And I think he outclassed Pierre, Augustin, taking him out in the third round. Other results, we had David Benavidez stop J-Leon Love in round 2, and Nery stopped Mcjoe Arroyo. Mcjoe Arroyo not answering the bell for the 5th round. So that's a quick look at what went on. But yet Spence Jr. answered the challenge. Now move on, hopefully, to a fight with Pacquiao, get the payday. We'll see if we get Spence and Crawford. That becomes an interesting fight. Thurman is really going to have to show us something to crack that top 2 now in the welterweight division. Thurman, once a resident of the top spot, perhaps in that weight class. And so lots changed there. Spence Jr. now clearly the #1 welterweight in the world. I'm Mcjoe Arroyo for the CRP.